The San Jose Sharks have made a trade. They trade with the Detroit Redwings, bringing in defenseman Jake Walman. Me and Jules are going to break it down right now on Teal Town Live. But of course, if you want to be part of the show, be sure to hit us up on all the social media platforms. This is going to be a quick pod today, so do the things, hit the bell, subscribe, like all the usual YouTube nonsense. But let's get the show started. Almost joking on my own saliva. It's good. It is me, it's Jules, it's Teal Town Live, your live interactive thing that we do. The Sharks did something. How do you
I don't know. I thought I misread the thing they did originally. Yeah, I mean, Greer, I don't know how you pulled this off, buddy. It makes Barclay Goodrow really funny. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm kind of laughing at the Barclay Goodrow shit now, but like getting a young D-man who's arguably Detroit's 1B.
Not super young though. I think he's 28.
I think he's like the Sharks' best D-man though, arguably.
He could be, yeah.
Yeah, like there's a world where he's the best D-man next year, and now what does that say about the Sharks is different. But like getting Jake Walman with a second round pick for basically future considerations, like I don't know how you can't love that. So we have like now 5 picks in the top 53 of the draft. Like,
yeah. So Jake Walman, for those that don't know, Detroit played for Detroit last year. He had in 63 games played, he had 12 goals, 9 assists, and 21 points. He had 44 penalty minutes and was a -2. The thing about Jake Walman though is that I think people are going to look at the points and be like, "Oh, who's this guy?" And I think a lot of people, like I kind of looked around at a lot of people and it was like, "Oh, this guy's going to be the new quarterback and stuff." But that's not really his game.
no, that's not his game
At all. Like that's not like I don't look at Jake Walman. I'm like, I know like here's the problem, right? You have so many highlights of him scoring goals and then hitting the gritty that people think like he's this offensive dynamo, but that's not really his game. I mean, it's nice and I look forward to him hitting the gritty and Teal, but not really his game, right? So but I like this move a lot. If you look at what's going on with Detroit, I think Detroit's obviously they're going big game hunting in free agency. That to me, it looks like, in my opinion, you're looking at they're going after. I think they want to bring Patrick Kane back. I think they're also going to go after, I think they're probably going to go after Stamkos if he hits the open market. Jake Gensel's another guy I could see them being heavy after. So they've got to move some cap to make room to go big game hunting. I think that's what Detroit's doing in this situation. A lot of Detroit fans were pretty unhappy with this move though.
I mean, I think he was paired with Seider. Like, wasn't that Seider's?
Yeah.
If I don't watch Detroit that often, but I was pretty sure that was Seider's like main partner for a while there, at least last year for a good chunk. And I know this year he had a down year, but like, I'm just like that. It's a cap dump, and you have a Justin Hall right there, Detroit.
Yeah.
Like that's why I'm a little, and I'm not trying to hate on Detroit here. I'm just like, I get where this is coming from like, I guess them going big name hunting, but it also feels like Detroit could have let cap dumped someone else and maybe not arguably their 1C or 1B, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team, like, I think IA's in the chat here, and there's lots of stuff in the chat here, and I'll try and get to it as quick as I can. I don't want to be on the show super, super long. Wings barely missed the playoffs. They're probably going to go aggressive and try and get the team better. Look, they're in a tough division, right? There's a lot of good teams in that division. And I think that for them, like, I think it's absolutely a team that wants to make that next step. That next step. They want to be a team that's in the playoffs. I think it's a market that obviously it's obviously a great hockey market, but it's a market that demands a lot. And I think that fans, and I think rightfully so to a point, like I feel like the Red Wings have done a lot of decent things since Eisman took over. I have questions about what they're doing right now, but I think overall, I don't think
I'm not trying to blame what they did overall. It's just this move with the guys you have. You chose Walman as your cap dump.
Yeah,
like
it's a weird.
That's my question. But for the Sharks, this is great. Like,
yes,
but the blue line now is very clogged up in San Jose.
Yeah, I mean, so you look at the Sharks blue line, right? And obviously, I think there's going to be moves that are going to be made. If you look at the blue line, obviously, very crowded now because I think you have to remember, like, I can see guys getting buried getting buried in the AHL, obviously, but are they going to bury Kyle Burrows? A combination of Kyle Burrows, Matt Benning, and Knyzhov, are all those guys getting buried in the AHL? That doesn't seem.
I would not be shocked to see maybe not
One of them, yeah.
Benning, at least one of them get traded this week.
100%. Yeah. I think Ferraro, I think this also, gives credence to the idea that Ferraro could be on the way out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, again, you look at Jake Walman, who I really like. I think this is we kind of joke, but I mean, it's kind of true. Is this your immediately your best defender?
I'm forgetting. Walman is left or right? I forgot to check that.
He's left. Lefty.
Okay,
he's a lefty, just like Ferraro. So I mean, it makes sense, right?
You pair him with is Ty Ember? I would love to see him and Ty Emberson together. This this makes me really excited because Greer was talking about yesterday at his media availability. I want to revamp this blue line and make it better. This is the start to that. And you gotta ship some guy. Kyle Burrows, please send him to the sun and never look back like you did with Kalen Addison.
Right.
No offense to Kalen Addison. Hopefully, Tampa can go reclamation project on him or whatever. But I'm just now curious what they do with this blue line and who's out the door because they have so many.
Yeah, because I think Ty Emberson's a guy who the Sharks they've already said that they're going to qualify, and I couldn't imagine not seeing him back. I can't imagine Henry Thrun not being back.
Henry Thrun's back, yeah.
Right.
Luke, I would love to see get a shot.
But that's the thing, right? Muka Medulin, right now there is absolutely no room for him on the NHL team. So there's just no room.
How long is Kyle Burrows signed? He signed for forever, right?
For 2 more years.
Okay, I would not be
at 1.1. That's not a terrible contract.
I wouldn't be surprised if a team like the Leafs, who always like a little bit of grit, start knocking at the door for him. Someone's getting moved in the next 48 until basically Saturday. I can guarantee you someone's getting moved because the Sharks have way too many blue liners now.
Yeah. Burrows, Benning, both 2 years. Burrows has $1.1 million for the next 2 years. I think Benning is $1.25 million for the next 2 years. So
yeah,
I don't know. I see everyone's like Pickles is gone, man.
Pickles is
if
not
you're
gone.
Marc-Edouard Vlasic, even if they don't, even if he gets pushed out of the lineup again for parts of the season, are you walking away from all that money?
$7 million.
Are you going to retire and walk away from that money? No, of course not. And he's, you know what I mean? I understand why people want Marc-Edouard Vlasic gone, but
as much as we complain, we forget how good Pickles was for quite a long time. And I don't know, it's not bad to have him on the team, helping out Muka Medulin defensively. I know he's not the same Pickles as he used to be, but you need someone for the kids.
Yeah, and the Sharks have to hit the floor, right? I don't know. I mean,
we're still $6 million away from that, by the way.
Which, yeah. Even though, and again, we have other
Barclay Goodrow. Barclay Goodrow and Jesus, Jake Walman. We're still $6 million off, boys. We got it.
$6 million below cap. I mean, and now the business they have to do, I think it can very easily get up to that $6 million floor. Obviously, it sounds like they really like Ty Dellandrea. I will not believe that Luke Cunnin is not a Shark anymore until he's wearing another jersey. So there's another, between those two players right there, I think Cunnin's a guy who's probably going to get close to 3.
I would not be surprised to see Cunnin traded.
I'm possible. I mean, anything's possible. I think you have a lot of Luke Cunnin right now.
You have 4 Luke Cunnins on this team right now. We can dispose of some. You know what I mean? Give them to Toronto.
Yeah, but I wouldn't rule it out, but I'll just believe it when I see it because the thing is obviously I think the broadcast. If you watch the Sharks broadcast, they're going to tell you what the team thinks. And what the broadcast told us all year is how much the Sharks love Luke Cunnin. So until I see Luke Cunnin gone, I'm not believing it. I know people are oh, well, they've got so many Luke Cunnin right now. And I'm yeah, they do. But until Luke Cunning's wearing another jersey, he's a Shark in my
So
book.
here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna end this podcast, and then the Sharks are gonna trade Luke Cunnin to another.
Right, and then
yeah, there you go.
And then I'll have to come on and be like, I'm an idiot. But yeah, I mean, if you look at this blue line, obviously now, so the defenders that they have signed and are going to sign, you have Marko Vlasic, Jake Walman, Mario Ferraro, Jan Ruda, Nikolai Knizhov, Kyle Burrows, Matt Benning. They're going to sign Henry Thrun, and they are going to sign Ty Emberson.
That's 9 defensemen. That's about as much as you have on your Chell team right now, Ian.
That's where it's true. Like that's. I mean, so they're going to have to do something. Obviously, I'm curious to see where those moves are made. I think this blue line, like you can't complain about revamping this blue line. That was their biggest
weakness
failing last year. I think was their blue line. I think they got some quality stuff out of a few guys. I know Jan Ruda is not the most popular guy, but I think that he was perfectly adequate for what I thought what he provided was fine. I think he was fine.
And it wasn't his fault that the blue line was so shit. Like if you're blaming Jan Ruda for the blue line's flaws last year, like you know what I mean? Like it was the entirety of the Sharks system last year was arguably just god awful hot garbage. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and 5 picks up in the top 53. I mean, that's huge, right? Whether you use that whether you make picks there or you use that to make moves in the draft, either move up, move down, whatever. I mean, I think that's
just beautiful.
It's a good position to be in. I think it gives Mike Grier a ton of flexibility heading into this draft to make moves. Whether, like I said, it could be they could take players with all of those picks, and I would be perfectly happy with that. They could move up, I'd be happy. They could move down, I'd be less happy, depending on how far they move down. But you know what I mean? Like it gives them a ton of flexibility. And if you do move down, like you still have other picks, right? So it's not like, we traded we moved out of 14 and we picked up 2 late. Like you still have other picks. So it's
I would not be surprised to see Grier trade back into the first round and get a guy like Stein Solberg, who honestly at this point might go top 16. I don't think he's worth that. But like, like trade back up for one of those shutdown defensemen in this draft. Like Grier just has so much flexibility now with that pick 53, pick 42, pick 33, 14 and 1. Like I mean, you're not trading one, but like he has a lot of flexibility. And honestly, this makes trading up for Zeev Buyam a little more plausible. So I'm starting that back up. They need Reinhardt. I don't think Reinhardt's leaving.
Chester Chivo saying, I really hope the Sharks run on Patrick Kane. That doesn't make any sense for the Sharks, though. It doesn't make sense for Patrick Kane either. Like Patrick Kane is no spring chicken, right? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
I don't think Patrick Kane signing in San Jose.
Like
he wants to go win
at his point in his career, right? Like he's looking for another title at least, and I think he's looking for a shot. And as much as I like this move, I'm not going to, start making proclamations about playoffs or anything silly like that.
I am glad that they're surrounding Smith and Celebrini with like really good not good players, but like good players to play with. You know what I mean? Like you're not trotting out that same blue line of Kyle Burrows and Matt Benning as your top pair defensive men. So like, Grier has made trades now to kind of slowly improve the team. Not saying we're going to make the playoffs, but we might be a tad bit more watchable this year than we were last year.
I mean, and another energy just like Kane isn't that wild. He has his cup. Yeah, but you know what's better than 3 cups? 4 cups. That never changes, right? Like, what's better than 3 cups? 4 cups, 5 cups, 6 cups. I'm not saying like he's going to
win 6 cups.
Yeah, I get that. Like, I mean, obviously, I think if you're an American player, I think that's probably true for a lot. Like, he grew up idolizing Kane. Like, Will Smith grew up idolizing Patrick Kane. I'm sure that's the case for a lot of American players, though.
Listen, and if Patrick Kane signs and decides he wants to come help the Sharks, and their young core, great. We'll not have a problem with that. But I don't see that happening.
Doesn't make sense.
I don't see that happening. I could see more of like the Sharks going after a guy like Teravainen instead, who probably fits in a little bit more with their timeline here. Going down. Oh, from Puckeye in the chat. What a fleece.
Yeah, I mean, look at if I can't criticize this move at all from Mike Greer's perspective. I think
Mike Greer
like
really
I
woke up
understand
today. Just
Detroit fans
violent.
being upset about this, right? Like I understand why, when we earlier in the chat they brought up names of contracts that they could have dumped and they chose Jake Walman. Like I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I've been pretty I feel like I've been pretty pro Steve Yzerman in his tenure in Detroit so far. I have questions.
Yeah, I'm curious what the plan, like, if they don't make a splash move, that's when I'll start
Future
questioning.
considerations is the first overall.
Oh, this is my thought on what the future considerations mean. Okay, so I saw this from another reporter. I think it was one of the ones who covered Detroit, and he was
Mhm.
like, "Well, the Sharks have the 14th overall. Detroit has the 15th. Maybe if Detroit's guy is on the board, they're like, hey, can you guys just
Who
not take him?"
switch picks? Or this, yeah.
Or just like a guy like Michael Bransick Newgard. And I'm sorry, Mark, if you're listening, I love him too, bud, but I feel like he's a Detroit Red Wing. Like a guy like Michael Bransick Newgard, maybe he's on the
Hmm.
board, and maybe a guy like Yzerman, let's say, is on the board, and the Sharks go with Yzerman over Newgard and let Newgard fall to. I'm not saying that's what this future consideration is. I mean, this is just an idea, or they trade down or whatever to make Detroit fans feel a little better.
I mean, at the end of the day, future considerations don't have to mean anything. Like that's
That
the
is true.
reality in the NHL, right?
Yeah.
Like I think the one thing that's really fun about the end of the ECHL season is watching all the trades that have to happen because future considerations actually have to be something in the ECHL. And it's always like I know like the ECHL is like so far down people's like list of hockey concerns, but for a hockey geek like me, it's like my favorite thing is watching to see all these trades get made to like satisfy future considerations from trades earlier in the season. I think it's the best thing ever.
Yeah. But it
But that is
also
not the
should
case in the
never get
NHL.
resolved. Yeah, it might just never get resolved,
Right.
and,
It's just it's a never
you know,
thing.
and if the Sharks decide to trade down from 14 and 15, we probably know why. So, you know.
I'm gonna let you answer this one.
Mhm.
Jules, Quinn Finestra here asking what potential prospects are you both interested in drafting at 14 and what potential prospects would you move up for?
Um,
I don't do the work, man. I just
so a guy, so there's been a few names at 14. I'm gonna be so real. It's a shithole. Like you could throw darts at this point. Michael Bransick Newgard is a guy I really like at 14. Forechecking monster, can hit hard. Probably is your middle six type player. He kind of, in my opinion, he's a glue line. Like he can glue a line together. If you're looking for a guy who might fall down the rankings a bit, I've seen Berkeley Cadden as low as 14, arguably the best skater in the draft, playmaker. Not saying we need, like, we have a lot of those small skilled guys, but he's, in my opinion, kind of a different level of that small skilled guys.
yeah.
Um, and then
I do have a name.
go.
I so at 14, a guy that I kind of like is Beckett Seneke.
That too. Yeah.
I also like I'm I am absolutely fascinated by, and I think it's
Cole
just
Iserman.
because Cole Iserman
Yeah.
fascinates me.
That's another guy that, like, if he's on the board, BU connection, played with Celebrini, like Celebrini could make Cole Iserman work, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I know he's one dimensional. I know scouts sometimes hate that guy. But yeah, I think there's gonna be options at 14. But if you're looking to trade up, I would trade up for Zeev Buyam, and that's kind of it for
That's
me.
kind of everyone's straight up at this point, I think.
Like Buyam, maybe Dickinson, but not as much as I would go for Buyam. Buyam is just potential to be the top pairing defenseman, run a quarterback, does everything well. Had one of the best NCAA seasons by a defenseman in the last 20 years. Like,
Yeah, I agree. Like Celebrini 17 and Saturday says, they need to trade it for Kleisman. You're probably right, but he's again like this draft is so weird in the way that
Cole
I'm
Iserman
so
could fall.
fascinated to see how
Yeah.
this draft is going to play out because I think like when you look at the rankings, I mean, there's no real consensus. I think the only I feel like now the only real consensus seems to be obviously Celebrini, and it looks like most people now
Levshunov.
have no.
Yeah.
It's Demidov it
Oh,
too. I think
Demidov?
most people have
Wasn't there
Demidov at
still
2 now.
rumored that Levshunov is going to? Anyways,
Yeah, I mean Levshinov's another guy who's up there, but I think if you look at like all the rankings, I feel like
yeah,
the
it's
only
starting
real
to solidify.
consensus is Celebrini at 1, and
One.
almost everybody has Demidov at 2, other than I think
There's like one or two people who don't at this point.
Right. Yeah. So
Like,
I feel like that's the only real things that are kind of a given at this point. And everything after that is really jump ball. It's everyone kind of has guys all over the place. But Cole Eisman, I think of the guy, if he starts falling and the Sharks go to the podium at 14, I would be intrigued by.
I wouldn't trade up for a forward though in this draft. I do want to address that because I know, like, I don't remember where that comment was. Would you trade up? Would you trade Ferraro and 14 to get the 10th pick and snag Eisman? I would not trade up for a forward, but that might just be me. I'm more like, get your number one defenseman if you're going to trade up. We have a lot of elite forwards, in my opinion. You can always use more, but in my opinion, if you're going to trade up, you can go for that like number one D man possibly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like it's gonna be fascinating. I think that on the topic of the draft, obviously, I know Puckeye did put it in the chat here, and I know we keep saying it, but we will be live during the entire first round of the draft. We'll be doing a live stream, so come and definitely check that out. It'll be me and Mark kind of on at home, and then everyone else everywhere else jumping in and out.
And then Saturday we have our recap towards the evening with Mark and you and us, and it'll be fun. And we have a lot of picks, so I'm sure.
Yeah, so I think it'll be two really good shows. I think if you want the live reactions and everything, obviously you want to hit the live stream, and then the Saturday show will be kind of like a more concise, put together show that it's we can put on podcast format as well. So I hope that you'll join us this weekend for all of that fun stuff, because we are putting a lot of work into it. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. And AJ is going to be at the draft party. So
if the Sharks trade up for Zeev Boyum, I'm sorry for anyone at the Sphere and their ears. So just want to put that out there.
Yeah, I think I look at AJ is going to be at the draft party. So for the draft party, keep an eye out for AJ. He has some goodies to give away, as far as I know. Yeah, it's gonna be an awesome weekend. I'm looking really forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun.
And the Sharks have so many picks.
And the Sharks have so many picks.
Like, I mean, there's so many guys even in the second round that the Sharks could possibly get. Cole Hudson, Alphonse Frey, Sam O'Reilly. Like I could go on and on here. But yeah, Patrick, I will hear you from. You might, if the Sharks trade up for Boyum, everyone will probably hear me, even Mike Greer, and being like, "Who's that chaotic little child up there?" So
let's end quickly. Hall of Fame class was announced today. No Patrick Marleau. I'm not that shocked. I know we talked about this last night, and we kind of went through like the people who were like eligible. We didn't really touch on guys that had kind of been waiting to get in, which is kind of dumb on our part. But it was a long show that we did yesterday. I think I don't really have much issue with who got into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Just for those recapping, David Poile and Colin Campbell are the builders category. Colin Campbell's worked in the league forever, but I feel kind of like it's the Obama putting a medal on Obama meme for Colin Campbell, just because he's been in the NHL offices for so long. But he's done a ton of different things there. He's been a guy who he was the disciplinary guy for a long, long time before player safety. The players were Pavel Datsyuk, which I think that was the one for sure given pick going in. Natalie Darwitz goes in, who obviously great player, also was the GM of the winning team in the PWHL this year, if I recall correctly. I know she did get fired after that. I don't know the politics there, but she was also responsible for that, and also a hell of a player for Team USA. Jeremy Roenick goes in, which is nice for Roenick. I think Roenick's a guy who I'm kind of surprised. He's one of those guys where it's like you kind of understood why he wasn't in, but like you couldn't keep him out forever.
Yeah.
Shea Weber goes in. Some people are kind of controversy about that. I don't know.
I'm shocked Brenda Moore didn't get in. And I know we said this at the top of the show.
Yeah, Brenda Moore McGillney not being in still kind of surprises me. And who's the other woman that got in? It's nice to see multiple females go in. Wendell Pohl, I can't remember her first name.
I can
help me out, somebody in the chat.
please. Oh, who tweeted it?
She was also really good. And well deserved.
But yeah, no. I mean, again, not really surprising. Patrick Marleau didn't get in first round, but I'm sure he's gonna get in at some point. Like,
yeah, I think Patrick Marleau like has a strong case for the Hall of Fame.
Just may not be like right off the bat.
You know what? I will say this about Shea Weber going in though, because technically Shea Weber still has a contract. He's technically still not retired.
Oh yeah, he's being paid by Utah.
Can we please just put fucking Jaromir Jagr in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, he's not. Oh,
he's not retired. He's not eligible because he's not retired because he's gonna play until he dies. Can we just put Jaromir Jagr in the Hall of Fame already? Like if
you should
Shea
reach
Weber
out to your best friend Gary
Fame,
Bettman. Yeah, there you go.
Chrissy, thank you, Kevin. Chrissy Wendell Pohl.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, if Shea Weber can go in still under contract, can we just put Jaromir Jagr in? Like,
I agree.
Can we stop fucking around?
Also, Utah got their first member in the Hall of Fame and has even played a game for them. So,
I mean,
bravo, Utah winning. Utah's winning on all cylinders right now.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, I look at man, like I don't know. I feel like Jagr not being in at this rate. Like I understand he's not technically retired and he's still playing and whatever, but like, come on. Oh, Buckeye's gonna jump in here quick.
Oh, sick.
Let me give me a second here.
Oh, some chatter that I know this is Pagnotta, but some chatter that the Ducks have accelerated talks to trade John Gibson, and then wonders if a team like Detroit might be.
Can you get out of my way? There we go.
Uh-oh. There we go.
Oh.
That's better. Whew,
I got lost. Oh,
no pushing Jules away. No.
Not yet, though.
I had to press the right buttons. Sometimes I don't press the right buttons.
How dare you, Ian?
Puck Guy, thoughts on today's events?
Like I said in the chat earlier, I thought the Walman could be a steal. I mean, just getting a guy that can be helpful, decent contract with and getting a second round pick, and kind of softens the blow a little bit for moving a third to Vegas for Hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. Roenick, I mean, glad he got in. I think he better thank Doug Wilson in his thank you speech for saving his career.
Yeah.
Big time. Bummed about Patty, but I mean that was going to be an iffy call as it is.
Yeah, I think like I as mentioned before you got on, like we had talked about this last night, but we didn't really talk about the guys that were still waiting to get in. We kind of just made a case for Patrick Marleau versus other first year things, and obviously against Pavel Datsyuk, there was no case.
Yeah, I mean Datsyuk was a shoe in. I mean, you could say current Utah Hockey Club member Shea Weber was going to be a shoe in. Which is kind of weird, but okay. But yeah, I know on Sirius XM they were talking about they were really pushing Alexander Mogilny hard for him to not getting snubbed. But
yeah, Mogilny not being in the Hall of Fame is like one of those things I won't understand, and it just like it goes to remind you that like sometimes the Hall of Fame stuff is really petty. Yeah. Pat Burns like famously didn't get in while he was alive because he had a long-standing grudge with one of the committee members, and we all knew that was the reason he couldn't get in. They finally put him in, but it was a travesty because they waited until the dude wasn't there to was no longer alive for it to happen.
Right.
And I just wonder like what Mogilny did to somebody, because like and this stuff's happened. It's happened many times, unfortunately.
Yeah, many times, and it's not just hockey. I mean, baseball has its issues, but yeah, there's you rub a guy the wrong way, and or rub a media member the wrong way, but it's like whatever, it just seems like it's just when that gets in the way, it's like this is for the Hall of Fame. This isn't about your ego. This is like yeah, I kept him out of the Hall of Fame. Like come on, So like Pat is saying in the chat, they put Peronic in, so it's possible Mogilny has a shot still. Completely agree. And especially after that 92-93 year with Buffalo, where I think he tied with Teemu for goals. It was like 76 that one year. And I mean, that was just a phenomenal career that he had. So if Patty weren't not to get in this go around, I would love for we're getting invaded. What the heck? But if Patty were not to get in on the first shot, you know, would be greater is if him and Thornton go in on the same year.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, and look at, I mean, obviously McGillney, like he's the thing with the Hall of Fame, the Hockey Hall of Fame, is you don't run out of chances.
Yeah,
it's not like the Baseball Hall of Fame where you just like once you're on the ballot for so many times and don't get in, like you're done. McGillney will probably eventually get in, but it's kind of a travesty that he's not already there. I am super up against it though, so I need to get this rolling. Unless you want me to kick me out and take over.
No, you're good.
All right. Yeah. So I apologize. I do have to get moving though. I do have other stuff going on today. But in case you missed this and you want to watch it again, be sure to hit us up on all the social media platforms. Leave us a like, leave us a comment in the chat if we got something wrong. But other than that, we appreciate you guys. We hope to see you guys during our draft stream and post-draft show, and anything else that happens between now and then. We thank you all for being here, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you very much.